Welcome to StorySpin, Malicious Compliance Edition. First up, boss bans working from home, so OP brings the virus straight to headquarters. Let's spin it. Boss said no working from home, so I came in sick as requested. Last week, I woke up feeling awful. Fever, cough, the whole thing. I messaged my boss to ask if I could work from home so I wouldn't get anyone sick. He replied, "No exceptions. If you're well enough to work, you're well enough to be here." So I dragged myself in, coughing and sniffling the whole time. The look on his face when I walked through the door was priceless. By the end of the day, he told me to go home and said I could work remotely after all. Funny how that works. Honestly, if your boss gets sick, he brought it upon himself. Now here's a manager who wants a reason for PTO, so OP gives them a novel. You want me to provide a good reason for why I want to use my vacation days? Time to trauma dump. So I work in a pretty low-stress job, which makes it absolutely hilarious that my boss demands we give a good reason whenever we want to use our paid time off. Dude, why do I need to give you a good reason to take my vacation days? They're mine. I'm entitled to take them just to lie on the floor and stare at the ceiling if I want. It's none of your business. Well, I had planned to take a few days off to recharge after a very relatively intense work week. Unfortunately, my boss chose this exact time to send out a reminder email. If we intend to take time off, we need to provide a reason and get it approved. Big mistake. I walked into his office, head hanging low, and started talking about my dad's cancer, how intensive the chemo was. I didn't cry, but I was absolutely channeling my college theater class. I might have even hit him with, "I'm just so used to seeing my dad as this strong, invulnerable guy. But he's just human, you know, and soon he might be gone. How do you even deal with something like that?" Now, for the record, my dad had been cancer-free for years. This was all purely performative, but my boss looked so uncomfortable. It was great. I wish I could say this led to some company-wide policy change. Like, no more reason required for vacation time, but no such luck. Instead, I just kept coming up with other traumatic life experiences to justify my vacations. I think my grandma's died like 3 times over the past few years. Poor woman. I may need to come up with a new story for when she actually does go. My boss still gets visibly uncomfortable whenever I ask for time off in person instead of by email. It's kind of hilarious. Corporate guilt trips make great storytelling fuel, apparently. Up next, a picky eater rejects kid food and mom serves justice, bland and cold. You don't want kid food? All right then, enjoy your plate. This happened when I was around 13, and it still cracks me up to this day. Every Sunday we had lunch at my grandma's house. She always went all out, pot roast, collard greens, spicy gumbo, and whatever else she felt like making. But she also made a separate batch of kid food, usually mac and cheese, chicken tenders, or grilled cheese sandwiches for the younger cousins who were picky eaters. Now, I was the oldest of the kids, and one day I decided I was too grown for children food. I dramatically pushed away my plate and said, "I don't want kid food anymore. I want what the grown-ups are eating." Grandma gave me this long, slow look over her glasses and asked, "You sure about that, sugar?" I nodded like I was signing a contract with the president. She didn't argue, just scooped a huge portion of her extra spicy gumbo, poured some collard greens with vinegar, added some cornbread on the side, and handed me a big glass of unsweetened iced tea. That gumbo lit my soul on fire. My nose was running, my eyes were watering, and the vinegar from the greens wasn't helping. But my pride wouldn't let me ask for help. And you better believe I wasn't about to admit I missed the mac and cheese. Grandma walked by, patted my shoulder, and whispered, "Next week I'll fix you some chicken nuggets again, unless you'd rather eat like the adults." The nuggets were back on my plate the next Sunday. That plate was so flavorless it probably got a participation trophy. Now let's switch gears to dress codes, double standards, and a very sassy suit. Told to dress up for sleazy functions. When I was 19, I worked at a waterfront bar where sexual harassment was basically part of the job. KPMG were our neighbors, and the investment bros were totally entitled. I was waitstaff, which meant I had the pleasure of wading through a packed dance floor with plates, only to get grabbed, blocked, and grinded up against. Management would just tell us to laugh it off. Then they decided that for functions, female staff had to wear black cocktail dresses with heels. We pushed back over the heels. Wet floors and staircases made it an OH&S lawsuit waiting to happen. Management reluctantly dropped that part, but they were adamant about the cocktail dresses. I had zero interest in dressing up for the sleazy men that haunted that place. But for whatever dumb 19-year-old reason, I wasn't quitting the job. So I wore a cocktail dress, a black boob tube thing, and I decided, you know what? Time to grow out my pits. They never directly said anything about my body hair. They just started assigning me to the back room to cut lemons for the bar during every function shift. I'd do it happily, chilling with the kitchen staff in my completely inappropriate strapless dress. Honestly, those shifts were the best part of the job. I'd wear that outfit to my enemy's wedding. Top-tier pettiness. Up next is 30 minutes worth of showdown. 30 minutes or over 2 hours. Your call. Context: I'm a paramedic working semi-rural, about an hour's drive to the hospital. We do 12-hour shifts from 6 to 6. It was common for us to arrive around 5:30, so the off-going crew could finish up and head home early after handover. This 5:30 arrival was a gentleman's agreement. It helped the night crew avoid late call-outs that would push them past their 14-hour legal driving limit. Local law: if your job involves driving, you must stop at 14 hours, no exceptions unless you've got a critical patient. Sometimes a job would come in between 5:30 and 6, and the early crew would take it and claim the time as overtime. Totally standard. No one had a problem with it. Then one day, the manager sends out this email saying no staff should be starting work before 6 a.m. because it was costing too much in overtime. So we all did exactly that. Every single crew, 30-plus staff. At the peak of winter, one of the busiest times of year, it sucked finishing late more often. But watching management pay us 2+ hours of overtime and having to figure out transport when we breached the 14-hour limit? Glorious. After 2 months of bleeding money on overtime, we got another email. You can now go back to the 5:30 arrangement. That manager really said I value consistency while OP ran the whole shift. And now, one last clock watcher forces OP to stay till 6, and regrets it. You have to stay till 6 p.m. About 10 years ago, I was living the FIFO lifestyle, fly in, fly out, and honestly, it was great. We worked 8 days on, 6 days off, and the shifts were 12 hours long, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We carpooled from camp to site, about 5 kilometers, and it was common for us to leave the work site at 5:55 p.m. Even the boss rode with us and never said anything. We usually got to the site by 5:40 a.m. at the latest, having left camp by 5:30. Most of us even started working as soon as we got there. But then, things changed. Our manager, who had been decent at first, gradually turned into more of a micromanager. One day, after leaving work at 5:55 p.m., we got pulled into the office. We were told moving forward we must stay until 6 p.m. No exceptions. We explained that we always started early and even ate at our desks to keep things running smoothly. Didn't matter. So, cue Malicious Compliance. The next morning, when the boss got to the car at the usual 5:30 a.m., we didn't. We started showing up at 5:50, sometimes even 5:55. We stopped eating at our desks, took both our breaks properly in the lunchroom, and if we were interrupted during break time, we'd politely say, "We'll get to it after lunch." And we stayed till exactly 6 p.m., even if there was nothing left to do. Urgent tasks that used to get done during breaks? Yeah, those didn't get done as fast anymore. Some stuff even carried over to the next day. After about 3 weeks, their manager caught wind of it and asked us what was going on. We explained everything. That same afternoon, we were told we could go back to leaving 5 minutes early, as long as the work was done. Let's just say that manager only lasted another 6 months. Not sure if they quit or were pushed out. And that's the spin. 6 stories, 1 takeaway. Follow the rules too well, and someone always regrets it. Like, subscribe, and remember that compliance is a dish best served cold.